There's a clip of Jim Caviezel going viral right now, reaching 1.1 million views in under 10 hours, not because he said something new, but because he said all of this years ago and was ignored for it. Now the entire world is finally catching up to him. Jim Caviezel didn't just make a film, he practically predicted the exact moment we are living in right now. In January 2026, a single interview he gave reached 1.1 million views in under 10 hours. Why? Because people are finally starting to understand what he was saying all along.
I'd say one thing. I showed it in Vegas, and there was 5 screenings, about 1,500 people that saw it. During the 5 screenings, each screening, there was a talking going on. And I was like watching the audience going, what? The second time it happened, again, third time, talking in this one particular spot. And I'm thinking, what, did we do something wrong or something? But so then one more time it happened. At the end, I was asking about the movie, and I asked him about that one particular part where everybody's talking, and they all cried out Epstein Island. And I went, oh, okay. Now I understand what we're up against.
Wow.
Epstein Island isn't the only island out there. And Tim Ballard takes down one of the films.
In this video, you're going to go through the top 10 names buried inside the Epstein files, from tech billionaires to sitting politicians, along with Caviezel's warning about what may still be hiding beneath all of it. Stay with me, because the #1 name on this list visited Epstein's private island with their wife and their kids, while publicly claiming they had cut ties with Epstein years earlier. We'll get to that. Who is Jim Caviezel? Before we get into the names, you need to understand who Jim Caviezel really is, because that changes everything about why what he's saying matters. Most people know him as the actor who played Jesus in The Passion of the Christ, one of the highest-grossing films in history. But after that film, instead of cashing in on his fame, he made a very different choice. He produced Sound of Freedom, a film based on the true story of a real government agent who quit his job and personally went to rescue children from trafficking networks across Latin America. While making that film, Caviezel and his crew were in Colombia, and what happened there wasn't a scene from the movie, it was real life happening right in front of the film crew. When Caviezel returned to Hollywood with this film about saving children, the industry didn't celebrate him, they buried him. He said every major studio and every major network was told, not asked, but told to stay away from the film, and most of them obeyed. He was blacklisted. That's what it cost him to make this movie. What are the Epstein files? Now let's talk about ground zero for all of this. Jeffrey Epstein was a financier who ran a network of private islands, private jets, and private estates that were used to traffic minors to some of the most powerful people on the planet. He died in federal custody in 2019 under circumstances that to this day, many people don't believe were an accident. His cellmate was transferred the night before, and the security cameras outside his cell malfunctioned at the same time. For years, the files connected to his case were locked away. Then on December 19, 2025, the Department of Justice released documents under the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Then on January 30, 2026, a second wave was released, over 3 million pages, including 95,000 photos from Epstein's estate, flight logs, emails, photos from the private island, FBI investigation documents, all of it out in the open. Now, one important thing before we get into the names, being in these files does not automatically mean someone did something wrong. Many appearances come from charity events, business meetings, or simply running into Epstein once at a public event. What matters is the pattern, and some of these patterns are hard to explain away. Caviezel has described this entire system as an 8-armed octopus. His point is simple. You can't just cut off one arm and think you've solved the problem, because another one grows back. You have to take down the whole head. Keep that in the back of your mind as we go through this list. Bill Gates first met Jeffrey Epstein back in 1992. Their meetings started picking up again in 2011, with multiple documented visits over several years. Photos from the December 2025 estate release show Gates at Epstein properties and on the tarmac. But here's what made this story explode. On February 25, 2026, Gates admitted to 2 affairs and confirmed a Wall Street Journal report that Epstein had actually tried to blackmail him over one of those affairs.
Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates has admitted to having 2 affairs with Russian women and has apologized for his links to the convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein.
Mr. Gates, what is your message to lawmakers?
I did have affairs, but I saw and did nothing illicit, Bill Gates revealed to his charity, the Gates Foundation.
Gates' exact words were that it was foolish to associate with Epstein and that it was a mistake. There are also draft emails in the files where Epstein makes allegations about Gates, allegations that Gates denies. The photos place him at Epstein's properties, but not on the island. Elon Musk. Email exchanges from 2012 and 2013 show discussions between Musk and Epstein about visiting the Caribbean island. Whether those visits actually happened is not clear from the documents. What is clear is that Musk himself went on X in 2025 and publicly posted that Epstein tried to get him to visit the island, and he refused.
Reference also made, intriguingly, to the ex-owner Elon Musk having potentially visited the offenders island. Musk is named in the documents as being a potential visitor to Epstein's island, Little St. James, on December the 6th, 2014, 6 years after he became, this is Epstein, a listed sex offender. His name appears on what appears to be a daily schedule that Epstein had, with the entry saying, quote, "Reminder, Elon Musk to island December 6th, brackets, is this still happening, question mark." You remember, of course, that Elon Musk took to his own social media platform to suggest that Donald Trump, his name was going to come up in association with Epstein, and that's why the files hadn't been released. Well, it turns out Musk's name is in there.
He is also named in calendar entries for proposed meetings with Epstein. The emails are there, the invitations are there, and Musk says he declined. Prince Andrew, formerly the Duke of York, appears in Epstein's private emails several hundred times, not just a few times, but several hundred. There is a 2010 email where Epstein appears to be setting Andrew up with someone, saying he had a friend he thought Andrew might enjoy having dinner with. In 2022, Andrew settled a sexual abuse lawsuit with Virginia Giuffre with no admission of liability. That same year, Queen Elizabeth II stripped him of his military titles and royal patronages.
Andrew appears to have been caught in a lie after a leaked email revealed he told Jeffrey Epstein they were in this together after the pair supposedly had cut contact. UK paper The Mail on Sunday has obtained an email from Prince Andrew to Jeffrey Epstein sent on February 28, 2011, a day after a photo of him next to a then teenage Virginia Giuffre was first published. In it, Andrew writes, "I'm just as concerned for you, don't worry about me. It would seem we are in this together and will have to rise above it." He then signs off, "Otherwise, keep in close touch and we'll play some more soon."
I said, look, because of what has happened, I don't think it is appropriate that we should remain in contact. And by mutual agreement during that walk in the park, we decided that we would part company, and I left, I think it was the next day. And to this day, I never had any contact with him from that day forward.
The January 2026 file release confirmed there was extensive back-and-forth communication between Epstein and Andrew. Bill Clinton. The December 2025 file release included photos of former President Bill Clinton that many people were not fully prepared for. One of them shows Clinton in a hot tub connected to Epstein's estate. Another shows him with Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's convicted accomplice, at the Winston Churchill War Rooms in London. There is also a photo showing Clinton, Michael Jackson, and Diana Ross on what appears to be Epstein's private plane, along with 3 photos of Clinton and Epstein wearing matching cultural clothing.
Of several high-profile men, including former President Bill Clinton and pop icon Michael Jackson, have been made public as part of the massive trove of Jeffrey Epstein-related documents released by the Department of Justice. Newly released photos of Clinton show the former president swimming with another woman and Maxwell. In another picture, Clinton can be seen holding a drink and standing next to Epstein. It's unclear where or when these photographs were taken, but they show further evidence of the closeness of the two men. Clinton has steadfastly denied any wrongdoing. A statement from Clinton's spokesperson said that the former president did not know about Epstein's crimes and had cut off the relationship before those crimes came to light.
Clinton flew on Epstein's private jet multiple times over 2 decades ago and also met him at the White House. Then, in January 2026, when the House opened an investigation into Epstein, both Bill and Hillary Clinton refused to testify.
I don't remember anything about it.
During hours of closed-door congressional questioning, former President Bill Clinton repeatedly gave similar answers about some of his encounters with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, first reported by CNN.
I have no recollection of it, but it should have happened.
He said he didn't remember the details when House Oversight Committee investigators asked about a series of reported encounters with Maxwell over more than a decade.
Charity gala in New York, dinner at a New York City restaurant, co-hosted a fundraiser for Secretary Clinton's presidential campaign, co-hosted a fundraiser for your presidential library,
and even international trips. One of the most detailed exchanges involved a July 2002 trip to Morocco for the wedding of King Mohammed VI.
Do you recall whether Mr. Epstein and Miss Maxwell also attended that wedding?
Naomi Campbell. Naomi Campbell appears in Epstein's contact list as a business connection and also shows up in photos taken at Epstein's properties. There are no allegations of wrongdoing against her. She appears as part of Epstein's celebrity social circle.
They released documents about convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein by the U.S. Justice Department repeatedly referenced British supermodel Naomi Campbell. A New York Times review of the documents found that Campbell's name appears in nearly 300 files alongside other powerful figures linked to Epstein. Emails show Campbell requested flights on Epstein's private jet and planned visits to his New York mansion.
But here's what makes even a social circle appearance significant. Epstein didn't just casually collect phone numbers. Everyone in his contact list was there for a reason. That's the point Caviezel keeps emphasizing. Michael Jackson. This one requires careful attention. There is only one photo, just a single photo, showing Michael Jackson alongside Epstein, Bill Clinton, and Diana Ross at what appears to be a celebrity event.
Two pictures of Michael Jackson and Jeffrey Epstein are a big fat nothing burger, nothing controversial despite what the media might suggest. The blurred out picture with Bill Clinton and Diana Ross are quite literally Michael Jackson and Diana Ross's kids. You can't make this up. This is literally a different angle of a different picture of the same exact night, and you could very much tell it is their freaking kids. But why was MJ and Diana Ross hanging out with Bill Clinton in the first place? Well, it's a very simple answer. This picture had just been taken right after MJ had performed at the Apollo Theater in New York City in 2002 for the Democratic National Convention fundraiser. And Bill Clinton's the Democratic president, which makes sense why he would be there supporting as well. And now the big picture. MJ and Epstein together right there is clear as day, right? Clearly MJ's doing something bad because they're both together in the picture. That picture is the only time reported that they actually met, and it was at Jeffrey Epstein's house in Florida because Michael Jackson was trying to buy a house.
Wikipedia's own note on the Epstein files clearly states, "It is unclear why the photograph was in the files, and there is no suggestion that Jackson was aware of or involved in any of Epstein's crimes." Michael Jackson also appears on the DOJ's politically exposed persons list, alongside Elvis Presley and Princess Diana, both of whom had died before Epstein's crimes even began. There are no flight logs with Jackson's name, no allegations, no island visits, just one photo at a public event, and that is the entire connection. Oprah Winfrey. Jim Caviezel has publicly stated that Oprah Winfrey was at the center of the Epstein network, not as a victim, but as what he describes as a legitimizing force, someone who made dangerous people appear safe and trustworthy to the public.
The Epstein documents were unsealed. People expected powerful names, but not this many. Politicians, billionaires, celebrities, and then names like Ellen DeGeneres and Oprah Winfrey surfaced in discussions, references, and associations that made people pause.
Oprah's name does not appear in the official DOJ Epstein files. This is Caviezel's allegation, and it is based on a pattern of associations rather than an actual document with her name. Keep that in mind. However, the pattern Caviezel points to is difficult to ignore. Harvey Weinstein. Oprah was his closest Hollywood ally for decades. She introduced him to young actresses and gave him her personal endorsement at a time when dozens of women were already suffering because of him. She may not have known, but at some point, Caviezel argues, not knowing becomes a choice. Then there is John of God, a Brazilian faith healer whom Oprah promoted in multiple appearances on her show. He was later convicted of serially assaulting dozens of women. His background could have been identified with just a few hours of research. Oprah gave him a global stage. In 2007, Oprah opened a girls' school in South Africa. It was praised widely, but almost immediately, a dormitory matron was arrested on 14 counts of indecent acts against underage students. A settlement was reached behind closed doors. Some students remain unaccounted for. There was no public investigation, no transparency, and no answers for the families of those girls. Every time the pressure gets close to Oprah, Caviezel says she does not respond. She rebrands. There is a surge in philanthropy, a speech about supporting survivors, a pivot. The pattern is the same every single time. Kevin Spacey appears in photos alongside Bill Clinton and Ghislaine Maxwell at events connected to Epstein.
On him talking about Epstein and Clinton. Yeah, just watch this here.
In 2015, do you know who I never asked for anything? Was Jeffrey Epstein. I didn't want to be around this guy because I felt he put the president at risk on that trip to South Africa because there were these young girls.
Oh, now.
And we were like, who is this guy? So I will say this.
There were young girls on those flights.
There were young girls on those flights.
So, time out. You mean to tell me, Patrick, if you're on somebody's private jet, how big is this private jet? It's a fairly size. You don't know everybody that's on that flight? There's only, 10, 15 people on there? You know the captain, you know the co-pilot, you know the flight attendant, you know everybody. And now all of a sudden, but Bill Clinton, by the way, great company he keeps. Epstein, Clinton Foundation, the Bill Clinton. You're on that plane and now all of a sudden there's underage girls and now you feel, so there was a you did know who he was.
He also appears in flight logs and traveled on Epstein's plane. The December 2025 photos show him attending multiple Epstein-related events. But here's something that surprised many people. Back in July 2023, before the files were released, Spacey himself posted on X, "Release the Epstein files, all of them. For those of us with nothing to fear, the truth can't come soon enough." He publicly called for the files to be released. There are no criminal charges against him related to Epstein, and he maintains his innocence. That is the full picture. Now here's where it gets more complicated. Howard Lutnick is currently the United States Secretary of Commerce. He publicly called Epstein gross and stated on record that he had cut ties with him decades ago. However, the files show something different. Emails reveal that in December 2012, Lutnick and his wife accepted an invitation to visit Little St. James, Epstein's private Caribbean island. They planned to arrive by yacht with their children.
Secretary Howard Lutnick, Epstein's former neighbor, recounting his alleged experience with the deceased billionaire to the New York Post.
Way back when, they traded those videos in exchange for him getting that 18-month sentence.
Lutnick describing Epstein as gross.
I say to him, massage table in the middle of your house? How often you have a massage? And he says, every day. And then he gets weirdly close to me. Ooh. And he says, and the right kind of massage.
There is also documented correspondence from 2011 showing that Lutnick had drinks with Epstein and discussed the construction of a building near both of their homes. The Commerce Department's official response was that Lutnick had limited interactions with Epstein. However, in December 2012, he, his wife, and his children traveled by yacht to the island. Despite claiming limited interactions, he now serves in the United States Cabinet. Caviezel's final warning. Before we finish, let's return to Caviezel, because this is the part most channels skip. On April 26th, he gave testimony to Congress, and the number he put on record was 850,000. That is how many children he says are missing.
A movie a long time ago in New York, and I was with Homicide, and I got to see the contortion of a face when someone, and it's hard to watch. But when you start going into this, which is children, there is something that I can't even fathom. I had no choice but to go in, and I hear the screams in my heart. I hear the screams because of the agents that I got to work with, got to show me things. And one particular time, he says, are you sure you want to go further? It took me 2 years to get over this.
How has this changed you? How is experiencing that material and having to play it out changed you?
I will tell you this right now. I would absolutely, if this were to change the world.
His question to Congress, and honestly, it's a question without a clear answer, was how did the three-letter agencies not know about this? Then came his warning, the same warning he has been giving since before any of this became mainstream, the warning that got him blacklisted. He said that when the public wakes up to this entire system and watches films like this, people won't be able to walk down the street freely ever again. He exposed this system before most people were even paying attention. He got buried for it. And now, the files are out. The memes are confirmed. The question isn't whether this happened anymore. The question is, what comes next? Now, I want to hear what you think. Which name on this list surprised you the most? Do you think anyone will actually face real consequences? Or does money and power mean the rules don't apply? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. If you want to go deeper, we've already covered Naomi Campbell, Ellen DeGeneres, and the full Epstein file releases right here on the channel. Links are up on screen. See you in the next one.